Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Heather Denniston, and welcome to the Junk You Should Know show. With me today is Kathy Holcombe, and I'm so excited to have you join me, Kathy. It's pretty fantastic.
I'm
Welcome.
super excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, no problem. And what Kathy doesn't know is that I'm starting a Adventurous Women series, and she is the first guest for that. And I love it so much. You and I met at a conference in Philly recently. It was a public speaking conference, and we hit it off. And I literally can't get enough of your stories, your life. And so I absolutely had to bring it to the Junk Show viewers. And so thank you for making time for us today.
Absolutely. I always love to share adventures.
That's great. Now, Kathy is broadcasting from her RV. They are right now in New Mexico, right? No.
Yes, Santa Fe, New Mexico,
Santa
right
Fe.
downtown in the square.
Yeah, you actually never know quite where you're going to be until you let us know via Instagram. Your husband's Instagram is the best place to go for all the greatest photos, and that is at
Peter Holcombe, Holcombe.
Wonderful. Well, people are probably like, well, what do you mean life of adventure? So Kathy, please tell us about you, your husband, and your daughter, and the very unique and exciting life that you guys have designed for yourself.
It's funny, when you asked me where I was, I actually had to look outside the window for a minute because I wake up every day in a brand new location. We are home in our photography studio in Boulder, Colorado in 2014. And we moved our family and business into a 170 square foot Winnebago view and have been living life on the road ever since, chasing family time together and adventure. And every day I wake up and have to look outside to see where I am. It's always a new experience. But so, inside the walls, it always feels the same.
That's so funny. So is Peter the one that, does he drive through the night? Is that one of his responsibilities?
You know, we share driving. I actually love driving our rig. It's 44 feet long, and I feel like queen of the universe when I'm driving. It's like big rig coming through.
That's so awesome.
It's super fun. So, but you just never know what's outside. It feels so familiar and comfortable inside, and then it's sometimes hard to remember where we are because it changes almost every day.
That's great. You've created a home for yourself on wheels, and I love that. And even when you were at the conference with us, your RV was parked somewhere. I don't remember where, but but Peter had brought it in, and I know you and Abby, your daughter, were at the conference with me, and so I thought that was so cool. So what happened in 2014 to made you go, we're selling it all. We're going to hit the road?
You know, it was a combination of a lot of things. Peter and I met in '95 and traveled all over the place. We were rock climbers and just explored the world climbing. And we had always dreamed about living in the road full time, but that wasn't what we were supposed to do. We had just graduated from college. We were supposed to get a real job. We were supposed to get a house and have kids and all of these things. And we did that. And it was amazing and wonderful, but there was always this little piece of us that was like, oh my gosh, I wonder what our life would have been like had we done what we really wanted to do when we wanted to do it. And so that dream it kept lingering and kept lingering. And we had some family in 2013 that had serious health issues and weren't able to pursue their dreams that they had been waiting their whole life for. Yeah. And so all of that came together. And one day, Peter and I were driving home from a photo shoot in Utah back to Boulder, Colorado. And we had enough time to go home, do the laundry, mow the lawn. And then we had to head back out on another shoot that was like a 4 or 5 hour drive away. And all we wanted to do was stay and climb in the desert. And so on that drive home, I looked at Peter and I was like, what if we could just stay here and skip the going home and doing the laundry and mowing the grass and climb for a day and then go to our next shoot without ever having to make the trek home? And Peter looked at me and he's like, that's crazy. We can't do that. I mean, yeah, that would be amazing, but who gets to do that, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so, we kind of just drove quietly for a while and wrote it off. But I don't know if you've ever had one of those dreams that just won't leave you alone. It just keeps coming back and coming back. And it was kind of haunting me. And I kept thinking, I think it might actually be possible. We own our own business. We're entrepreneurs. We control our schedule. We control our lives. Why couldn't we control this too? And at the same time, I think Peter was having the same thoughts, because about a month later, he came back and he was like, we should talk about that a little more. That's really interesting to me. And so we started talking about it, and then we started seriously talking about it and putting plans into place. And we started automating our business so that clients didn't have to come to us in person, started testing systems and saying, maybe it's possible that we could provide even better service for our photography clients by going to their homes and hanging their artwork for them and custom sizing it for exactly a custom piece for their decor. Yeah. And that would be a better business model than what we had. We could better serve our clients. And so after about 9 months, we decided to list our house, and it sold in 2 hours. And all of a sudden we were going. We didn't have an RV. Yeah, we didn't have any place to live. We hadn't gotten an RV yet. And so Peter flew to Dallas, picked one up, and we sailed out. And now 5 years later, we haven't looked back for a second.
That's amazing. And I think that brings up such a good point. And that is that I think many of us are quick to go, not possible, before we even go, well, wait, it probably is. It's what choices are you willing to make? What shifts are you willing to create? And are you willing to let go of some things? Because obviously with life on the road, tell us a little bit about what kinds of things do you have to kind of be super flexible on? Do you have to let go of?
Yeah, life on the road is all about flexibility. There is very little that's consistent or certain. And so it may be 7 o'clock at night and we don't know where we're going to sleep for the night. We very rarely stay in campgrounds. And so we're always looking on Google Earth for national forest or BLM land that looks like a great place where we can drive our rig into the middle of nowhere and spend the night. So we've learned to be flexible. Sometimes we get ideal, amazing places, and sometimes they're not.
Walmart parking lot.
Right. Occasionally, that's our worst case scenario, but that does happen, especially when we're driving across the country. And, little things like grocery shopping. You never know when you walk into a grocery store if they're going to even have a produce section or if they're going to have good food, quality food or not. And so everything is in flux all the time. So flexibility is key.
I love that. Oh, go ahead.
The amazing thing is that we get to be wherever we want to be, whenever we want to be there. And so if we feel like kayaking in Tennessee, we'll do that. If we feel like rock climbing in Utah, we go do that. And we fit work in all throughout the journey.
Yeah, the adventure that you have had that I've seen across your social platforms and in talking to you, I think those things that you referenced that are tricky it's so worth it to deal with those things, right? I mean,
absolutely worth the trade.
That you've had are just absolutely incredible. So tell me, you have this daughter, Abby, who also has an adventurous spirit like you two do. And she took up kayaking based on both of your recommendations, because you guys are both kayakers. And you both are competitive kayakers, or have at least done some competitive kayaking, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
absolutely. So now what I love about Abby, first of all, she's an only child, and she has gotten quite good at kayaking. To the point that, is it a world competition she's up potentially for?
Yes. So Abby didn't have a chance at not being an adventurer. She would go rock climbing with us when I was carrying her in a chest pack, and she was 3 weeks old. And so
that's amazing.
She stayed on the ground while I went up, but it's been like that her whole entire life. And she fell in love with kayaking, whitewater kayaking, about 4 years ago. She's always kayaked, but she developed this deep passion for it about 4 years ago, and was actually the youngest female to have kayaked the entire length of the Grand Canyon, all 280 miles through humongous raging rapids. And she did that when she was 12, and now she's 14. And her favorite style of kayaking is called freestyle kayaking, where she does flips and cartwheels and loops in a kayak, in a rapid, in the river. And she is trying out in March for Team USA to represent the US in Sort, Spain in July. There are only 3 spots available, so it's super competitive.
Yeah.
And so we're headed to Tennessee for her to train here next week. And she'll give it her best shot and see what happens.
That's amazing. Now, I happen to have a photo here. I'm going to show it. There she is going down a crazy rapid at 14. And the reason I show this is because I think many mothers would be like, how do you do that? And my feeling is that you have such a sense of how empowering that is for her and all of that. So just tell me a little bit about how you kind of deal with the mama bear side and the go do it side.
Yeah, it's funny. Abby is a cautious, calculating kiddo and always has been. And so it's always been us encouraging her to reach her potential.
Yeah.
And she's always said, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I'm ready to do that. And we've always trusted her. But in the last couple of years, she has just flown by my personal comfort level. In the Grand Canyon is when it started. Yeah. I was terrified for me in the Grand Canyon, much less her. And so that was a defining moment. That was really hard for me to put aside my personal fear and trust that she knew what she was capable of.
Yeah.
And that she was ready for it. And so she's just incrementally gotten more confident and more skillful over the years.
Yeah.
And now, honestly, she's the one that has my back whenever we're kayaking. So when I'm nervous, she's like, oh, don't worry, Mom, I've got it. Just follow me. I'll take care of you if anything happens.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it's been a really interesting shift over the last couple of years of me always watching over her to that shifting and her watching over me because she's just that much better than I am.
Yeah, that's so great. And talk about the family memories and experiences are in the thousands, tens of thousands, where so many of us do a 1-week little vacation a year, and we have great memories from that. But I just think, again, by life design, you've created a situation where you're making memories like that every day, and that's so fantastic. I love hearing about that. One of my favorites was, I think this week, you were kneeling down by a blown out tire. And, and there was nothing left of the tire. It was just the rim. And again, just some of these adventures that you come up upon. And one of the things I noticed about you, Kathy, and the reason I mentioned the tire is that you have such a calm, warm presence. I suspect that even nature serves you well out there on the road.
It has to. I'm not always calm and even tempered, but I try to be, and especially when things are going wrong it's always just served us well to keep it together. I think that comes from our adventures. If you panic or just lose it in the middle of a dangerous or difficult situation in the wild, it gets to be very dangerous.
Yeah.
And so all the years of climbing when, we've encountered bad storms or bad conditions or just different situations, we've had to just take a breath and take each challenge as it comes. And I think that carries over into our travels and everything else.
For sure. And you touched on such a huge point, and that, somebody might be sitting out there and going, why? And it's like, are you kidding? This is the best training for us as adults and for your daughter in how to deal with conflict, stress, all those chaos, all of those sorts of things that come and get thrown at you later in life. She's just had so many experiences of how to stay calm in the moment and how to get herself out of situations. And I just think that's such a great gift that you've provided for her.
Thank you. Thanks.
So how do we do? Oh, go ahead.
I think that's one of the neatest things that nature can teach us is, you face these seemingly insurmountable things, but when you break them into tiny pieces, it's very doable. And I think
Mhm.
that's helped us throughout our entire lives. And it's definitely given Abby skills to break things into pieces and work through them and work hard to get through them to get to the other side.
Yeah, I always feel like with my clients and the members of the Change Cave, encouraging them to get out and adventure with nature for that very reason. It builds such confidence. Even like you say, if you even just start small with a hike or something like that, it's an opportunity to really start to believe in yourself and say, "Oh my gosh, I did that," and turn around and come back down and go, "That was, I mean, that was an incredible thing." Like, and so I think that's so important that, you know, whether you have a 9 to 5 or not, there are opportunities during the week to get out and challenge yourself that way, so that in regular life you are that much healthier, from a mindset perspective, I think.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So one of my questions was going to be, where do you fit school in? How does that work?
School is always the challenge, and it's really hard to balance the incredible experiences that
Yeah.
present themselves along the road with doing 100 geometry problems or something
Yeah.
like that. And so we fit school in when we can. Abby does online school. It's Laurel Springs. It's based out of California. It's a college prep program. She skipped a grade in English and math, so she's
She's
great
doing
at school. She's doing good. But it's always a challenge. You know, we could go explore a national park, or we could sit and write an essay, and we try to do both.
fine. Yeah.
Both are really important. And Abby's an amazing writer and storyteller and speaker. She loves sharing her adventures with others.
Yeah.
And so it's just like any other life. It's a balance of finding the things that you should
For
do and you need
sure.
to do with what you want to do,
Yeah.
and enjoying that entire process.
I think you brought up a good point there, and that is, I'm on this kick right now about should, and really taking a look at that when we find ourselves saying that, because should often is somebody else's impression of what you should be doing. And so I encourage our listeners out there, you know, who are like, well, I could never do that because I should be, you know, making sure I get to this next step in my life or whatever. But I think that is important, like you did as a family, reflect and say, well, hold on a second. What is going to give us the best life experience possible, and how do we just go for that full balls out? And you do. And I meant to mention that Abby's Instagram is Adventurous Miss, and you can see a lot of her incredible journey with her parents there on Instagram, which is so great to just watch her developing and growing as a young woman. Very powerful. And I love that she's speaking and sharing her story with other women, even twice her age, 3 times her age, and inspiring them.
Absolutely. It's the things that she's doing blow me away most of the time. She just did a big presentation in front of 150 people about
Wow.
her adventures on the river, and just was so confident and clear and concise with her message. And it was beautiful to watch. I was so proud as a mom.
Oh,
And then watching her try new things where she's really scared. We just went ice climbing last week, and, you know, that's not her norm. She's done it a little bit since she was little, but, you know, she was a little nervous up there, and watching her
yeah,
struggle through that, that's a neat thing to watch as well, and to see
yeah, for
her push
sure.
through that.
Now, as far as wellness goes, the exercise piece is not such a problem for you three, because you're out in nature moving your body every day, and
Yes.
that's just fantastic. So are there any other wellness things that you intentionally fit into your day, that you can share with us? For someone on the move, it makes me say, well, man, if Kathy can make it happen, then us in our homes with full kitchens can make it happen.
Oh.
So what are some things that you can share with us as far as priorities you make with your wellness choices?
It's food is the hardest thing on the road. We have a small refrigerator and a small kitchen, and it's always tempting to go out to eat when we're in new places. We want to experience new things. And so finding the balance of eating healthy food and eating out with healthy food,
Yeah.
that's always a struggle. And I think for our health, the most important thing that we're working on this year is making sure that everybody has time for themselves. We live within arm's reach of each other all the time. There's no going into another room and closing the door. And so it's really important for all of our health to make sure that we have our own thing to go out and do, and to be away from each other, because that's an important thing as well.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is very brilliant. My family will tell you I have to have my alone time. And for me, typically that's when I go and work out, and I can get inside my head and I can kind of process things. And I am truly actually an introvert, so I do need that quiet time to process. And so I love that. And yeah, I don't think people realize how when you say arm's reach, you really mean arm's reach of each other, because you are there together all the time. So that's a really cool intention that you guys have created for yourselves for this year. That's awesome. So tell me what's next for you, because you have this potential to be going to Spain for kayaking, but I think you guys are maybe going to Europe anyway. What's that about?
Well, we are taking a Winnebago around the world. And so we're starting in Europe. We're going to spend 6 months in Europe starting in May. Hopefully Abby will be competing in the World Championships, but either way, we're going to be there cheering for Team USA.
Yay.
And she'll be competing in some European kayak competitions, and then just exploring. I want to go sea kayaking in Croatia, and we want to climb the Matterhorn and go hiking and biking in the Scottish Highlands and out to Iceland and explore that. So that's step one. And then we'll head down to Africa after that and drive from Kenya to South Africa and do some paddling along the way, and then continue to work our way around the world. That's
incredible.
This current trip that we started on, we planned to only go for a year, and now 5 years later, we're still there's no end in sight, and so we have no idea how long it's going to take us or what we're going to discover along the way, but we cannot wait to get started.
That's so great. And so are you picking up a new Winnebago when you land in Europe? Is that the idea?
We are downsizing, actually. We have a Winnebago View, which is based on a Sprinter van, but it has a box and a whole wall that slides out, which gives us the feel of an efficiency apartment.
Yeah.
And we are moving into a Winnebago Revel, which is a small 4x4 Sprinter van. And it's about half the size of what we currently have. And so the three of us and our dog Tucker are headed out, and we'll see how we do even in closer quarters.
Oh, that's incredible. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to ask the obvious question, because I think the greatest limitation for many people out there is like, I could never afford to do this. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you're an entrepreneur. Can you just share, how do you and your husband finance this incredible life of adventure?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most interesting things on our journey. We have always been photographers. We photographed weddings and portraits in Boulder, Colorado, and all the way up into Aspen and Vail and in the Colorado mountains. And so it wasn't a big stretch to move that business model into an RV, because we were already taking our clients to beautiful places around the world. And so we started with that business model. But what's happened is that since we didn't have a mortgage and we didn't have any debt and we didn't have any bills, we were able to take much bigger risks in our careers. And so now Peter is a commercial photographer. He works with brands like Winnebago and Mercedes and Jackson Kayak and Kokatat. And we create all of their commercial photography, which is what he has always wanted to do.
Oh, amazing.
And I write about our adventures across North America. And so I'm a regular contributor to a variety of blogs and magazines. And I wanted to be a writer when I was a kid, but I never dreamed that I could actually make a living doing that.
Wow.
And what's really interesting about what we do is, while we photograph for other companies, we often photograph ourselves. And so we've gone from photographing memories and portraits of other people to turning that lens inward on our family. And those are the images that we are making a living off of, which
awesome.
I never would have dreamed that was even possible.
Oh, that's so great. And I love how you started by saying, you know, when you take something like what you have on, there are unforeseen savings that you don't even think of. Oh yeah, no mortgage. Oh, property tax. Oh, dry cleaning. Oh, you know, and so that is a big shift. And so for those of you out there who are like, oh, I could never do that because I could never afford it, it is surprising how you can shift things so that things are much more economical and you can make it work. And what great news that such wonderful opportunities presented themselves to you once you took that big leap.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We had no idea that it was possible, but we just kept creating what we wanted to create, and we did it for us.
Yeah.
We did it because we wanted to have memories, and soon companies were calling and saying, hey, can you do this for us too? Just keep doing what you're doing and share these images with your audience. And
oh my gosh, I love it. That's so great. Kathy, you have given us such a great perspective, and I would love to ask if we could maybe give you another call in about 3 or 4 months when you're in Europe sometime and just sort of see what you and your family are up to.
Absolutely. We would love that.
Oh, that would be so great. And next time we will have Abby at least poke her head in and say hello. And it's been great chatting with you. I know certainly on behalf of myself, but of all the viewers, we wish you guys just tremendous success and luck in your new adventure across the world. And we'll be watching you. And again, that's at Adventurous Miss or at Peter Holcombe, primarily Instagram, but also lots of Facebook stuff too. So whichever is your preferred platform. And we will be watching out for all of those great photos coming our way.
Thank you so much. It's been great talking with you.
Oh, it's been a total blast. I can't wait to continue our friendship, Kathy, and thank you so much for taking the time today. I know everybody appreciates it.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Stay on. We'll say goodbye to the viewers, and we'll chat in just a minute. Thanks, everybody.